The vocabulary word is chronological. Chronological. Meaning of the word. If things are in chronological order, then they are arranged, or shown in the order of time. Example sentences. We arranged the documents in chronological order. Give me the dates in chronological order. They were introduced to them in chronological order. The journal is the chronological record of business transactions. An article can be written in chronological, spatial, or logical order. The facts should be presented clearly, and in chronological order. Your links will be displayed in reverse chronological order. A sample chronological resume can help you put together a resume that highlights that growth properly. The vocabulary word is scathing. Scathing. Meaning of the word. If we say that someone is scathing about something, we mean that they are bitterly harsh, or very critical of it. Example sentences. He gave her a scathing look. He made a scathing attack on the statement. Their criticism was scathing. He was scathing about the government's performance. He gave her a scathing look. Before I get scathing, let's try and be positive. He was very scathing about the report, saying it was inaccurate. He's always been so scathing about psychiatrists. The vocabulary word is dissent. Dissent. Meaning of the word. If someone is in dissent, they have a difference of opinion, and express their strong disagreement, or dissatisfaction. Example sentences. In those days, religious dissent was not tolerated. I made a gesture of dissent. The regime ruthlessly suppresses all dissent. The teacher laughed her dissent. There were murmurs of both assent and dissent from the crowd. The voices of dissent were effectively smothered. It was on the cards that he should be drawn into the circle of dissent. I dissent altogether from such an unwise idea. The vocabulary word is exodus. Exodus. Meaning of the word. If there is an exodus, then large number of people leave that place or country. Example sentences. The island is facing a mass exodus of its young people. Every summer there is an exodus from the city. The exodus continued for many years. The mass exodus resulted in the introduction of new actors. The ubiquitous exodus from huts to houses only adds to the strains. I joined the mass exodus for drinks during the interval. The medical system is facing collapse because of an exodus of doctors. There were both geographical and historical reasons for this exodus towards the west. The vocabulary word is debacle. Debacle. Meaning of the word. A debacle is a complete collapse, failure, or disaster. Example sentences. Many men were shot or captured in the debacle. A political debacle laid the groundwork for progress. History will still record that the invasion and occupation have been a debacle. His first performance was a debacle, the audience booed him off the stage. In a matter of weeks, the whole debacle could be quietly forgotten. The response to their recent election debacle was to say no turning back. The leadership debacle provided opposition parties and the media with an open season. The debacle at Waterloo signaled the end of Napoleon's power. The vocabulary word is scornful. Scornful. Meaning of the word. If someone is scornful of someone or something, they show extreme contempt for them. Example sentences. He is deeply scornful of politicians. She flung him a scornful look. He opened the door with a scornful look on his face. She took a scornful glance at me when she left my room. He felt humiliated by her scornful remarks. He drove them back with scornful words. She is totally scornful of his claim on television that he told the truth. He must be careful to avoid emotive judgments or scornful abuse. The vocabulary word is exonerate. Exonerate. Meaning of the word. If someone is exonerated, then they are set free from accusation, or not guilty of criminal charges. Example sentences. He was totally exonerated of any blame. He studies the data, and is confident it will exonerate him. He was exonerated from all responsibility for the accident. The report on the accident exonerates the bus driver from any responsibility. There is no reason to exonerate him from the ordinary duties of a citizen. But the signature of all his creditors was needed to exonerate him. I certainly have no intent of exonerating anybody. Nothing can exonerate her from that. The vocabulary word is archaic. Archaic. Meaning of the word. Archaic means extremely old, or belonging to an earlier period. Example sentences. In practice, the rules were as unrealistic as they were archaic. Their taste and style were archaic. The text was full of archaic spellings. She is a girl with archaic smiles, we really like her. Many smaller radio stations broadcast on archaic equipment. In today's electronic world, all this would seem archaic. Her facial expression is less fixed and archaic, and she radiates a powerful allure. And nothing was so irritating as the confident way he used archaic idiom. The vocabulary word is taciturn. Taciturn. Meaning of the word. A person who is taciturn does not talk much and reserved in speech. So, a taciturn person is uncommunicative and inclined to silence. Example sentences. He reverted to his old taciturn ways. He was a quiet, almost taciturn, young man. He was taciturn and unsociable and rarely spoke to you. I seldom visited him after that, and when I did, he was more and more taciturn. The ship's captain was a taciturn man who spoke only to give orders. He became melancholy, severe, and taciturn. They were a curiously taciturn and reticent race. Why do the aged tend to be taciturn? The vocabulary word is forfeit. Forfeit. Meaning of the word. If we forfeit something, we lose it by some mistake, offense, or failure to fulfill some obligation. Example sentences. That is the forfeit he must pay. Give me your watch as a forfeit. He argues that murderers forfeit their own right to life. I'll die rather than forfeit my pledge to her. Her health was the forfeit she paid for working too hard. They won the game by forfeit. His life is forfeit to the people. You cannot leave, otherwise you forfeit your place and ticket. The vocabulary word is evasive. Evasive. Meaning of the word. If we describe someone as evasive, we mean that they are avoiding, or escaping, or not straightforward. Example sentences. She gave an evasive answer. If the enemy attacks, take evasive action. She was evasive about why she had not been at home that night. All their questions were met with vague, evasive answers. In the spur of the moment, we decided to take evasive action. Evasive people give me a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. The fighter pilots had to take evasive action to avoid a collision. The answer, I thought, was somewhat evasive. The vocabulary word is jargon. Jargon. Meaning of the word. We use jargon to refer the specialized language concerned with a particular subject, culture, or profession. It is often difficult to understand. Example sentences. Can you help me translate this legal jargon into plain English? They use that awful jargon. What does all this jargon mean? It is essential to avoid the use of jargon. Many people call this jargon, particularly if they do not understand it. He is expected to be lost in jargon. The jargon in his talk was opaque to me. Try to avoid using too much technical jargon. The vocabulary word is disposition. Disposition. Meaning of the word. Someone's disposition is the natural or acquired habit. It describes someone's mood or temperament. Example sentences. She was of a nervous disposition. Neither side shows the slightest disposition to compromise. Nothing can ruffle her gentle disposition. Most children have a disposition towards obedience. He was a man of decisive action and an adventurous disposition. The twin sisters have a happy disposition. They differed from them in speech, dress, and disposition. His religious disposition attracted him to theology. The vocabulary word is fathom. Fathom. Meaning of the word. If we fathom something, we are able to perceive it with the intellect or understand it. Example sentences. I can't fathom him. I can't fathom what you really meant. He could not fathom the depth of the ocean. Your behavior is difficult to fathom. A fathom is the unit of measurement used in calculating sea depth. They want to fathom into this matter. I cannot fathom what you mean. I can't fathom her out. She says one thing then does another. The vocabulary word is antagonize. Antagonize. Meaning of the word. If someone is antagonized, then they feel angry or hostile because of the provocation. Example sentences. He didn't want to antagonize her. Do not antagonize that woman, she is dangerous. Do not antagonize your customers. Don't antagonize the neighbors by making a noise. They antagonize other chat room visitors, trying to force a heated debate. Sometimes, I think my husband refuses to help around the house just to antagonize me. I move slowly forward so as not to antagonize the two pendulums. It's a very delicate situation, and I've no wish to antagonize him.